Yo, and welcome back to the Banter Boys podcast. My name is Sanji. With me is Ryan. How you doing, Ryan?
Yo, yo. Yo, I feel like this Euros has been amazing, man. They really should have had like Tony the Tiger as a mascot because it's been going great. That probably was a horrible
Cute,
impression.
terrible joke number one
Yeah,
of many.
my bad.
That's alright. We need a little terrible humor on this pod. So welcome back. The round of 16 is over. We've made strides, somewhat, kind of. What are we gonna discuss today? Quick pod, I think, right? Breakdown is what? We'll find out what Ryan is doing with his life, FanTeam and all that shit. We'll catch up on social media stuff like questions, Reddit posts, all that sort of stuff. And then discuss a little bit about how our draft has been going because Ryan kind of came up with our own sort of tournament format since the website that we're using is a little shit. But I mean, thank you so much for hosting our shit. And then halftime pints, and then we'll jump into the meat of the pod, which is like the official game. Find out how we've progressed since the last round, and then plans moving forward. Because we're in two different scenarios, right? One person needs to take a lot of hits. One person has a wild card.
Fuck yeah.
I definitely need to take hits. And then, yeah, we'll just see kind of where it goes from there. Okay, so before we get started, I'm going to insert Ross's beautiful voice. Episode number 50. It's a pity he couldn't be here.
Oh,
Big ups to us, right?
Oh shit, milestone
50th
ep, yo.
episode.
Nice.
I know, right? Okay, so insert Ross's beautiful voice right here.
Yeah, for sure. So you can message us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handles at BantaB. On Discord in the Draft PL channel, Banta Boys #6585. On Reddit, /Banta_Boys. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, and YouTube, all under the name of Banta Boys.
Alright, sweet. Now go do what he told you to do. Go follow us. Go sign up. Go message us. Send us some love, Just say hi. That's okay. Don't be shy. Let's get started. FanTeam, what's up? Are you making money right now?
Let's talk about the Euros just generally before you. How did we get an 8-goal game? How did France crash out? How did Netherlands crash out? Like this has been.
You want to know something really funny? My sister hates football. Like, when it's brought up, it's talked about. Like, every time I'm around her and my brother-in-law, it's just constant football, and she hates it.
Right.
So, they were supposed to do something that day. And so, James, my brother-in-law, was like, let's go out. Let's go out. It's beautiful weather. For some reason, my sister was like, no, let's stay in and watch the football. I was like, oh, okay. And lo and behold, the two matches that they picked to watch were Spain, Croatia, and France, Switzerland.
No way.
Yeah.
Is Bindu the Blight, yo?
Maybe. Because, last time I went to a football game with her, I think it was West Ham versus Bournemouth. That was a 4-goal thriller. Didn't Haller score a bicycle kick that game? Yeah, I saw that game live. That was a good game, too.
Nice.
It might be Bindu for real.
Yo, tell her watch all the rest of the games. Like,
I know. I'm definitely. Hasn't the tally already passed 116? Remember, I had to guess the number of goals of the Euros for like the draft pick or whatever. I'm still winning with my Cristiano Ronaldo pick for Golden Boot winner, right? He's still winning if you
True.
don't count own goals as winning the Golden Boot.
yeah, good point. Is it so many already? 116, huh?
I think it's past that for sure.
I was hearing
Yeah.
something like the average of the goals scored per game for the quarterfinals was like 4 or something.
Let me check it up right now. How many goals have been scored at the Euros 2020? I swear we should have this stuff ready, but I'm never ready for anything. Yeah, 123 goals have been scored so far in
Holy
44
shit.
matches.
Wow, okay.
2.8 goals per game, 32 minutes per goal. Yeah. The teams that have scored the most goals, Spain with 11,
Yep.
Italy with 9, Denmark with 9, Netherlands with 8, Belgium with 8, Croatia with 7. And three of those nations are not here. No, what am I saying? Two of those nations.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
Netherlands and Croatia went bye bye. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, that game was kind of surprising, but not surprising. I mean, I didn't trust the French defense. We
Mm-hmm.
kind of discussed that last time, so I'm not surprised it went that way. But I'm so glad that it did because what a spectacle for the neutral as well.
I know, right?
Amazing.
It was really, really good football all around. Like all the underdog teams came out to play, right? Austria took it
Yeah.
to Italy, Switzerland really took it to France, and Czech kind of just showed up. Netherlands didn't. Who else was there? Missing one. Croatia against Spain. I mean, they went behind. Oh no, they went on top with the lucky own goal, but then they kept themselves in it to go to extra time. Really, it was really good football all around.
And I was wondering, watching that game, like Croatia's subs made instant impacts. I'm wondering why Orsic and Pasalic didn't get game time or more game time early in the tournament.
Me too, because Rebic had arguably one of the worst tournaments out of all the players who actually played.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm struggling to figure out who did worse than Rebic. No one comes to mind.
Exactly, yo.
And they just stuck by him. I mean, yeah, they pulled him off early at almost every game, but yeah, how Orsic didn't play more minutes. I don't know if he was nursing something coming into the tournament, but he looked amazing off the bench. Yo.
Yeah. We thought Wales could have nicked it as well because they started that game really well. Like, Bale could have potentially scored a screamer. He had some decent attempts.
Yep.
But do you think Italy got a little lucky versus Austria?
Uh yes, the offside call that ruled out it was Arnie's goal, right?
Even the Piscina challenge, I've seen those given
Yep.
penalties as well,
Yep.
right?
It was really just a grind for Italy and they pulled through.
Yeah, I'm happy Frank de Boer finally like imploded and now lost his job. I mean, Frank de Boer is free now. Hopefully, he goes to Spurs, but apparently Nuno's taken that job. Ugh.
Yeah.
Hey, so shout out to Matt Doherty as an asset. Early fantasy shout out for next season.
5 mil only. Yo.
Yeah, yeah, FPL, there you go, right? For draft, just hint, hint. That's a defender that people might sleep on.
Now we just put it out there though. That was gonna be like my round of like 10th round pick kind of thing.
Yeah, but no one listens to us, so you'll be fine.
True, true, true.
Belgium versus Portugal. A lot cagier than people expected, I think, because, I mean, all the superstars were playing, they expected goals. Portugal had a lot of chances in that game, man.
To me, it was just a good result, as in Belgium just showed up. They played a tournament style game and they just grinded it out. They got that early goal, worldy from Thorgan, and that was all they needed, right? They were happy to let Portugal take it to them afterwards.
But with no Hazard and KDB potentially moving forward, that could be a little tricky, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think once they get past, if they get past Italy, I think they'll be okay. I think KDB or Hazard, well, they were kept in the squad, so I don't think their injuries were significant enough that
Yeah.
they needed to be sent home. So I'm expecting one of them may be able to make it back if they make it to the semis, but yeah, they really just need to get by Italy, and without those two, who knows?
Yeah.
I'm excited to discuss that lineup and see how they actually do cope with those injuries though.
Yeah, we'll get to the matchups in more detail and into the teams in more detail. The next match day, like we started the discussion was about Spain, another 5 goal thriller. It sucks having only one goal scorer from all five. I wish I stuck to my Azpilicueta punt. Unfortunately, I wasn't strong enough to hold. But I did stick to my Paul Pogba punt, and that one was celebrated with massive screams. Because I did not have Karim Benzema captained like every other fucking manager all over the world.
Yeah, up until that point, I think we were both having a really good week, and then
Yeah.
Benzema just crashed all weeks entirely. So if you want to roll it back to
Yeah.
FanTeam, I was like top 500 on both my teams, and then Benzema tanked me. Now I'm like 2,000 and 2,500 in both. So I'm still in the money. I still have a small payout coming, but Yeah, I have a lot of ground to make back up now.
And I'm sure on the final match day, the England result didn't help either, with Sterling and Kane getting the goals and the clean sheet to boot.
Yeah, so that one bumped me down a few hundred spots, but Benzema dropped me by over 1,000 spots. It was just crazy. And in FanTeam, he was given the assist. So he was heavily captained, heavily owned, and he got 2 goals and an assist. Yeah, it was just a bad recipe.
See, I'm not sure if we overlooked something or didn't think of something, because, man, eye test wise, Benzema it wasn't pretty to look at, but it's one of the points that you made off air is that he was just playing like your number nine, that they were going to create chances, put it on a plate for somebody, anybody, and Benzema was that anybody, right? I mean, yeah, knock him for like overall play, but in terms of taking his goals, it was quite classy, not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
that first goal, that touch, yo.
Yeah, the touch with the shitty pass from Mbappe, I want to say.
Yeah, yeah.
He used the weaker foot to fix the ball in front of him and then finished it with the other touch, the second one. So, yeah, it was a pity to see Kante and company crash out of the Euros, but Sweden Ukraine final game, Forsberg could have had a hat trick. You got the fuck away in that game. But yo, kudos to you for sticking to your guns and shouting Ukraine to get the victory and Yarmolenko to get some attacking returns.
Yeah, and I mean, he could have had another assist. He could have had a goal. Like,
Yep.
I agree. I got away. Forsberg should have absolutely hauled, but I think Yalmo should have also hauled. It was really just a bad, unlucky game for both of them.
And it's kind of funny how that worked out because managers without a wild card that went with Forsberg now potentially have to hit him out for Ukrainian players. So had you gone Yarmolenko, it potentially would have been an equal move to Forsberg in the long term.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so now that we've kind of quickly skimmed like the review of what went down in the round of 16, I think let's get the ball rolling. We debuted the Twitter space. I think it was before the previous match day. We had a couple content creators with us. Asa was there. Jun was there. Jun, if you're listening to this, mate, it was lovely to finally meet you.
Yo, I wouldn't
Yeah.
lie. The Twitter Space launch was amazing. Like that session, we ended up discussing what FPL back in 2002, where Jin was telling
Yeah.
us the goal of the game back then was really pick up Henry, pick up who else was there? I forget who.
He said Perez, I think.
Perez, Henry, and
Yeah.
I can't remember who else he was shouting, and then pretty much just put in players after that because they were the ones getting
Yeah.
you all the points.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy to like go back in time and kind of catch up, even with Kyle, and we had like random listeners pop in and out. I think we'll definitely host another one, I think tomorrow night, so that will be Thursday night. So I think one mistake probably we did was probably give too many speakers, or give too many people a chance to be a speaker, and the conversation did kind of get off track at one point.
Yep.
Because I mean, it was great to like catch up and like break walls and just get to know people in that sense. But from like being productive in a fantasy sense, it got a little wild and we got a little carried away. So what I'm gonna do now is, if you're listening to the pod and you know we're hosting a Twitter space, I think we should give them a password that only if you've listened to the podcast, you've heard the password, you get access, right? I mean, obviously we'll have like our content creators get a little VIP access because they're coming in with content that is useful to the fantasy game. But yeah, do you want to maybe come up with the password?
That's a solid idea, yo. I mean, nothing jumps at my mind. I see you wrote down Calabash, so I'll just go with that.
Oh, I even spelt it wrong in
Yeah.
the sheet then.
So,
yeah, so Calabash is the password.
and for those who can't spell it, it's Calabash. Yeah, cool.
Sweet. All right, looking forward to that tomorrow. Quickly, on the Reddit post, do you know that piece of advice that you gave for the question? Somebody reached out to us asking whether they should trade Depay for Ronaldo. And then, we kind of threw in additional advice saying that maybe you should do it like a bundle deal. Do Depay and a shitty defender for Ronaldo and a good defender. Something like that, right?
Yeah.
And then, you said, throw in some more advice. Be like, go pick up Schick just in case if you're giving away Depay, in case of the upset. You know, it's funny. I looked at that comment a few days ago, and it actually was downvoted into the negatives. So for whoever did that, I hope they had the pie, and I hope their opponent had Schick.
Yeah, I mean, both Depay and Ronaldo crashed out, right? Schick was the only
Yeah.
win in that whole conversation. If they picked up a good defender, great. But yeah, draft is just so hard to call. I can't believe people would downvote sensible advice. Anyway,
Well, that's what you get. All right, let's jump to your fan team. I know you mentioned you dropped in ranks a bit, but are you still in the money?
yep, I'm getting about 30 euros on both accounts right now. Profit.
Ooh.
I mean, I'll take that. I think I can probably
Yeah.
settle there, but my teams are in a shit state. Like, I only have 7 playable players in one, and I think 8 in another. You get 3 free transfers, which I'll have to use all of them, but I was really hoping to actually save a free transfer, so now that has gone completely out of the window. I mean, yeah, we'll talk about regrets later on. Let's just not go there yet. And it seems we have internet issues. So now I'm talking to myself. So guys, it turns out Sanchez's laptop just died. He's been having a short with his charger. So I am just going to pause this and we may have to start over.
Okay, so if the recording sounds differently, I did warn Ryan that my laptop is just being funny and it died while recording. Hopefully we're able to recover whatever the fuck we talked about before. Hopefully we're able to even put out whatever the fuck we're recording right now. But you know what? Middle of a pandemic, obviously shit's gonna hit the fan, you know? So I think last where we left off was you talking about FanTeam and whether or not you were in the green. So where are we with that?
Right, okay. So I think, as I mentioned, I'm ranked about 2,000 and 2,500. Yeah, I'm in the money. It's about 30 euros profit on both accounts, roughly. So a small payout, which I'm happy with. But both of my teams are pretty fucked going forward. I have 7 players left in one and 8 players in the other. But in that 8 includes KDB, who's a doubt. I think I'm not opposed to hits in this game, and I'll explain why. FanTeam locks off after 90 minutes. You don't get any points earned in extra time. So if you have a clean sheet after 90 minutes like Italy did, and then you concede an extra time, it locks in that clean sheet. Also, once you hit 90 minutes with a player, you actually get 3 points. So hitting 60 minutes gives you 2 points. But if that player plays the entirety of the 90 minutes, he gets an extra point. So he hits 3 points. And a hit is only 4 points. So it's easy to repay 3 points. And if you win your game, so if you get like a favorite team, Spain or England, they play the full 90 and they win their game, their lowest total is 3.3 points then. I'm happy to take a hit, gamble on losing all 0.7 points with a huge upside, right? Like bring in maybe a Luke Shaw or Harry Maguire or Pickford in goal. Yeah, because one of mine had Loris in goal. I mean, yeah, he got me the pen save, but I have no goalkeeper going forward now, so I need a new goalkeeper.
Yeah. Do you have any regrets about any picks you might have missed last round that you overlooked?
Going Mbappe over Benzema, yes, that's a regret. Going KDB at all was a regret because he wasn't really on my radar. I just felt like I needed one Belgium. So in one account I went with KDB, the other account I went with Lukaku. But the real regrets we'll get into later.
Alright, fair enough. Okay, so I think what we can do now is probably discuss the question that we got on Twitter. And our question comes in from Neeraj Nachnani at Neeraj_Nachnani. Thank you so much for your question. And do you want to read it? Actually, I'll read it. I'm looking at it right now. Can you go over the predictions for quarterfinal and which team would most likely win this cup? I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't think he finished his question properly. But yeah, so predictions for quarterfinals, and who the fuck do you think is gonna win?
Sure. You want to go through one by one? You go, I go.
Yeah, so I mean, let me just pull up the quarterfinal fixtures right now. So the first one is Switzerland versus Spain.
Yep.
I mean, I know we're gonna talk about this more on like the live stream and stuff, but if you look at the data that we gathered in terms of the quarterfinals teams, Spain accumulated the highest XG of the tournament so far out of all the remaining 8 teams, right? 12.7. And Swiss, I mean, their XGs are on 6.27. I expect goals from both teams in this game, but I do expect Spain to score more and I expect Spain to go forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think for me, Switzerland may nick one, may not, but I expect Spain to score at least 2.
Yeah,
And I think that'll be sufficient to see them into the semis.
agreed. In terms of the Belgium-Italy game, I'm not gonna try and even call that.
That is too difficult to call. I think, I mean, the way Belgium have been shaping up and they haven't been playing, that free-flowing attacking football. They've been kind of happy to sit back and yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be easily could
No
be.
KDB, no Hazard is definitely a plus for Italy, a blow for Belgium.
Yeah,
I think Lukaku is definitely going to give Bonucci and possibly Chiellini a hard time. There's rumors that Chiellini's back, Acerbi might be benched for that game.
right.
Right? So that one could be a cagey affair the same way Portugal was,
That's
right?
what I'm
I don't
thinking.
think Belgium had a single corner versus Portugal. And Portugal had a lot of chances in that game.
Yep.
I mean, if you want to look at the XG isolated for that game, I believe that Belgium conceded, 1.56, I think, in their XG conceded. So that's what Portugal generated, right? Which is kind of high against a Belgium team, I think. So Italy might get chances against this Belgium team, and if Belgium doesn't have their proper attack, because I mean, if you think about the last play for Belgium when Carrasco was supposed to make that pass to Tielemans on the left, he totally fucked that up.
Yeah, he was greedy.
So-
I don't know why.
Yeah, so if they're gonna play with that sort of quality, maybe Lukaku might not have as much service as you think he's gonna get.
I think Belgium have a slight advantage still, though, because they had to play the first 2 games with that team, so they probably have been training. They're familiar with each other. I mean, granted, it didn't look that well until didn't look that good until KDB came on in that game versus Denmark. But I think Italy have also been kind of shaky. Well, they were shaky against Austria, and
Yeah, lucky in fact.
lucky,
at
and
times.
people have been kind of chalking it up to the twisting between Locatelli and Verratti. Maybe not, but Verratti didn't have a good game. So if they do start with Chiesa this time, is it too many changes? Like Acerbi, like you mentioned, dropping to the bench, Verratti likely dropping out, and Verratti dropping out. Like that's a lot of changes for a team that has been
Yeah.
playing consistently.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a hard one to call for sure. All right, let's move on to the next fixture, which is Czech Republic versus Denmark. I honestly can't see anything but a Danish win and possibly even a Danish clean sheet because, I mean, you look at their XGC, it's arguably one of the better ones out there compared to the 7 other teams that are there. It's 3.13 XGC total. And in fact, they conceded more goals in the tournament than they should have, right? By, I want to say, approximately 1. So the Danish defense is one to possibly target. And I'm really happy that I have double Danish defense going into this next stage because I don't think a lot of managers have that right now.
Yeah. I can see Czech nicking 1. They looked semi-potent versus Netherlands, but I don't know if that's just due to Netherlands having a really bad day or what, but
you know what's funny? We did say Netherlands could concede, you know, potentially. It's just that I don't think we had faith in the Czech Republic attack to deliver.
And we just had so much faith in Dumfries to just bomb forward, right? who arguably still
Yeah,
had the best game out of all the players on the pitch. So,
yeah,
had the best game out of all the players. So
for sure, for sure. And I guess the last game, Ukraine England, I can't see anything but England win. Sorry, I almost said Ukraine win. But yeah, I think England. Everything is kind of written in the stars for England right now. The route to the final, the semis and finals being in London, like it's just working out for them right now.
yeah, I can't see anything beyond the England win. They either Ukraine looked knackered after those in extra time. Like Yarmo could not.
I'm surprised Yarmo lasted that
Yeah,
long.
same.
Honestly,
He was really done.
yeah,
I don't know if he's fit for the next game. He had to sub off.
yeah.
But the fact that they had to play that full 120, England didn't. England looked semi-comfortable. Yeah, can't see anything past England win there, really.
So I mean, if we move forward, then we're looking at like Denmark England semifinal,
Yep.
right? And then possibly Spain, one of Belgium, Italy semifinal,
Yep.
right? Out of Denmark England, you've got to back the home favorites at that point,
Oh,
right?
for
They're
sure.
gonna have the crowd with them. So you'd think that England could potentially make it to the final. But I mean, kudos to Denmark for making it this far given the circumstances that they faced in this tournament. And out of Spain, Belgium, Italy, that's just a tough luck to kind of match up with those guys at that stage. You would hope that you kind of met one of these guys in the final, but when it gets to that point, it's gonna be, I want to say right now, Spain versus Italy, I think. But, you know, Belgium could be that upset team, right? But when it comes to then Spain versus whoever faces up next, the fact that Spain has scored 5 goals in back-to-back games, you've got to take that into consideration.
But they also conceded a ton.
Agreed. Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't want Spain defense going into this fixture for sure, or going into the rest of the tournament. I think, yeah, their defense does look like it can concede the odd goal. But yeah, maybe it might even come down to the point where you kind of outscore your opponents, right?
Could be. I think whoever wins between Italy and Belgium should be the favorite to make the final.
Yeah. I honestly think it's gonna be, or at least I want it to be, an England
Italy.
versus Italy final, and Italy win it. You're gonna get a lot of heat from the maniacs, but it's gonna be a lot of fun to take in from the outside.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So you know what? My prediction is Italy to win the cup. Ryan, do you want to give yours?
I will say whoever wins between Italy and Belgium should win it all.
Perfect. Okay, so thank you, Neeraj, so much for your question. I think now we'll quickly catch up in what's going on in draft before we take our halftime pint. Ryan, can you kind of break down how you've been scoring things and keeping track of our performance?
Sure. So the site, because we don't all have premium accounts, it keeps track of like the players and who started and who's on the bench, but it doesn't quite update the scores for them. So we've been manually doing it, well, me, and we've been kind of sticking just to FPL scoring, no bonus, no captain, so just ready goals and assists, clean sheets, and that's about it, really. Cards, of course. And I've been doing it all on a Google Doc. It's a fairly well-built sheet, if I do say so myself. Tons of VLOOKUPs to make my life easy, but yeah, we kind of did two modes. We're doing a league table mode, which is standard over the course of the tournament, who finishes with the highest score, and then we're doing a tournament mode where we started off with 3 groups of 3 each, and we added the average to round those groups out to 4 each, the group's average, of course, and then in the round of 16, the 3 players who are at the bottom of each of the groups had to go kind of heads up against each other, kind of battle royale, and the player who scored the least in the round of 16 got knocked out. So it's only 9 managers, and 8 of them progressed forward to the quarterfinals. And yeah, that's where we are. We have our quarterfinal fixtures set up. It's really the players who perform best in the group stages versus the players who perform worse, and hopefully it stays entertaining from here. It's a very close league table, I would say. You're up there in the top 3, so maybe you want to give an update on that.
I honestly don't have the values in front of me.
Oh, okay, sure. So in first, we have Kyle with 188. He's been having a fairly consistent performance every game. He's gotten over 40 in every week so far. Second up, you have Ian and yourself tied with 183 points, so just 5 points behind Kyle. And both of you have had topsy-turvy weeks where Ian had a 60-point week in game week 3, and then he had a 29-point week in round of 16. That gave you enough time to catch up because you had a solid week with about 49 points. But you've also had a 30-point week, and so yours is more fluctuating. Ian's is more fluctuating. Kyle's is way more consistent. And I'm fourth, but I have 165 points, so that's a whole like almost 20 points behind you guys. So it looks like the top three's in the running for sure.
Yeah. So what are the quarterfinal matchups right now then?
The quarterfinal matchups, I guess if any of these guys are listening, it's Ian versus Nathan, myself, so versus Critchlow, you versus Debs who plays Fan Tracks with us too. Shout out to Debs.
Yeah.
And Alex, who is one of Kyle's bros, he brought him in on a draft versus Kyle. How fitting.
So, do we know the semifinal matchup, like potential matchups already?
Yep.
So, potentially, am I in the same side as you? Do I have the England route to the final?
You do have the same side as me. You and I, the winners from our games, play each other, and then Ian and Kyle, the winner from their games, play each other.
Okay, so this is gonna be a spicy end to the tournament.
Yep.
Lovely, lovely. Okay, so now I think... oh, wait, actually, before we go to halftime pint, do you want to quickly maybe catch up how your squad has changed since the round of 16? How many players you had to dump?
Yeah, so luckily we got the Denmark lineup before the round of 16 game. I saw the Dolberg starting. I decided, you know what?
Yeah.
I
was like wondering whether we should punt on him an official game, and I was like, yo, I really want to get this guy. And then you were like, yo, he's free. I'm gonna get him. You got him, and he scored a fucking brace.
Yo, yeah, that was great. So I had Arnie, and I was like, well, I don't like Austria against my own team. Let's see what other forwards out there. There was literally no one. So there was literally no one. So I went up and grabbed Dolberg. He repaid that. So right now I have 3 Danish. I have 2 Czech, so that's a hedge. I have 3 Belgium. I have 3 Italy. That's a hedge. And I have 3 Spain. That's definitely not how my squad was looking just last week.
At all. And are these all players that are guaranteed starts or minutes?
Close to. I think Gaia for Spain is probably my biggest doubt.
But it feels like a doubt that's either minutes or
not at all.
Doesn't play
Correct.
at all. Yeah.
Verratti on my bench is also probably a doubt, but similar kind of thing. I think he comes on if he doesn't start. But Carrasco should play with both KDB and Eden out. Eric Garcia, Ferran Torres, they both play. Dolberg, Damsgaard, Schmeichel should all play. I see Poulsen's fit. Maybe Dolberg drops out, but I'm confident that he might keep his spot after that performance. Di Lorenzo, Immobile should play. Toby Vermaelen should play. Malinovsky rounding out my team with Jankto and Holesh. The actual forward, not Holesh. Not the one that smashed it.
Yeah.
Those are the guys on my bench. I don't really care if they play much or not.
It hurts me that my best pick feels like my goalie pick. Pickford with 4 clean sheets in a row.
Him, and you've had, I think, an English defender every single week too.
Yeah, last round I had Tyrone Mings. I dumped him now that Harry Maguire is back, right?
Yep.
So I had to dump a few people, right? Tyrone Mings had to get dumped. Kimpembe and Griezmann because they got dumped out the Euros. Wijnaldum and Weghorst. Bruno Fernandes, my second pick overall. Florenzi ended up getting injured, right? So my squad has changed over the last few game weeks. But now coming into the quarterfinal matchups, I think I have a decent chance because I made some decent picks as well. And I went for defensive picks because it's one of those things that you mentioned to me in this format of the game as well. And maybe just fantasy formats in general. It seems like around this time, it's easy to get points from defenders because if they can get the clean sheet, it's like an automatic goal for a striker scoring, right? and it's going to be harder to get returns from strikers. Look at how Mbappe struggled in the Euros, didn't score a single fucking goal. So right now, my lineup is possibly going to be a back five, as like versus Debs. So right now, it's Jordan Pickford in net. Luke Shaw is who I replaced Tyrone Mings with, and I think he's going to be nailed given Chilwell's COVID situation. Thomas Munier, Acherby, Maele, Striger Larson, right? That's my back five. In midfield, I've got Insigne, Koke, and Berardi. Up top, I've got Yaramchuk and Cornelius. So Cornelius might not start, but he's gotten minutes as a sub, and he's looked fairly decent. I believe he even notched an assist in those minutes.
He did.
And on my bench, I've got the likes of Oyarzabal, Busquets, Freuler, and Leandro Trossard. Leandro Trossard's a bit of a punt because KDB and Hazard's not going to be there. Maybe he might get played out of position instead of the wingback, get actually played as a forward, which is his position in the game. So I think I've got a good combination of sure starters and people who get minutes as subs.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried for the rest of the tournament because the breakdown is I've got 3 Spanish, 3 Italian, 3 Danish, 2 English, 2 Belgian, 1 Ukraine.
Yeah, so I think English, I have none, and I really want a piece of that, but literally all the players are gone.
Yeah.
But there is still one more waiver window before the deadline on Friday, so hopefully I can pick up someone like one of those attractive options that are still on waivers, like a Jeremy Doku. Maybe he gets minutes. There's so few options at this point in the game.
I mean, I would throw a punt at you, and I mean, I might be shooting myself in the foot, but Jordan Henderson is available on waivers.
I saw him.
And I think he's worth a shout.
I may actually pick him up. I just looked at that.
But that's only in draft. Don't go pick him up for the official game. We haven't gotten to that yet.
No, for sure. I'm seeing like Widmer is still available for Switzerland.
Yeah.
But then no other starters are there. Spain, there are no starters available. And that's pretty much a trend on all the teams. Italy, no starters are available. England, no starters are available. Denmark may have 1 or 2. Yeah. Højbjerg's on waivers. Jensen is there. Czech Republic, a lot of players are free.
Are you surprised that no trades have happened in our league as well?
I'm not that surprised. I guess we spoke a lot about a couple promises, like if this player makes it to the next stage, then sure, let's do a trade, right? But the players just didn't make it, so...
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so I think we're good on draft. I think now we can take our halftime pint, and then when we come back, we're just gonna discuss budget and plans moving forward.
Sweet.
And yeah, see where we go. So see you in a bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a beer.
And we are back. I just saw your message in the Limes group, by the way. I am definitely down for all fours after this.
Yeah, we haven't played a game in a while. It's been like...
In ages, bro. Like, any sort of game. And it's been hell. Because after football, like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, okay, the budget game, it's still been decent. But I didn't get a kick out of the last round. And I was just like, I've been craving some sort of, like, competitiveness. Like, it's not gone the way I wanted it to go, sort of thing. So,
yeah. Agreed.
Yo, any of the listeners, if you know how to play all fours, hit us up. Come challenge us. I'm terrible at the game, but I love it.
At least you broke that losing streak. Finally.
Yeah, but it wasn't fun losing 14-0 either.
That was amazing.
Alright, let's jump into the official game now. League updates. I guess overall rank updates, whatever. How did your overall rank move?
So I think I was ranked either 16 or 19k before the round of 16. I moved up. I believe I'm now 15k. Let me just double check that. Yeah. Okay, so I was 19k before because I'm 16k now. That's why the numbers were in my head. I have dropped 3 places in Trinidad. I was 48th. I am now 51st. But I think given that I have a wild card, I have a lot to play for still, and I should be able to make a decent rank push still.
Yeah, given the fact that a lot of managers are going to have to take hits, and I think it's more so the managers that are up around our tier, because those are the active managers that would have used their chips. And you're only like 18 points behind me, right?
Yep.
So managers that are around me have to take, like, big man Bakar, for example. He's most likely going to take a hit or two. So you're gonna be able to gain like rank on him, like points on him with ease by just like starting a team
Correct.
alone. You're gonna have a green arrow. So for me, I think I was 3082 before. I'm now 2014. Nice year. Nice year. I'm surprised that I got a green arrow given the fact that I did not have Karim Benzema. I was shitting absolute bricks. But you know what? The rest of the team came through, and I think I got a little bit lucky because we are given 3 free transfers this round. I kinda only have to do 3 free transfers because when I look at my squad, only 7 people are missing, and I'm okay with having a dud bench completely if all of my outfielders get some sort of minutes, right?
Yep.
Because I don't think, like, the thing is, I think I can afford at least one hit because I think on average managers will be taking one hit. But if I say, let's say, I think Berardi is going to get 1 point, if I don't take that hit, you add that 4 points to his score. It's like Berardi coming and getting an assist.
True. True.
All right. So I'm really against taking hits. And for somebody, like I said before, took minus 104 in hits in FPL last season, this is not an easy decision that I'm making. But oh, one reminder I think we forgot to mention as well. In terms of the price changes, we never really touched on that, right? It's not the same in FPL where you kind of have to keep players for profit. I don't know if I'm explaining this properly. Do you want to take a crack at it?
So in FPL, you know how when you buy a price, that's like your purchase price, and then you can only sell them for like half the profit you've made on them. In this game, once their price goes up, it kind of locks in, and you can sell them at the same price they are now, kind of. So there's no like purchase price and then selling price. It's just price.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind. If you are on wildcard, right, you don't need to worry about making changes now, making changes in the morning, whenever. Like, all the player prices will still kind of be the same. Also, in terms of the yellow card count,
Sorry,
it was
before,
a good shout. Yeah, sure,
while we're
sure.
still on prices, again,
Yep.
I don't think prices even matter at this point because all the big teams got knocked out, and all the premium picks like Benzema, Mbappe, Ronaldo, they just no longer exist in the game. All the German mids like Havertz and Gnabry, yeah, there's so many budget players left that you can easily field a solid team without even having to worry about budget. Because I think my latest wildcard draft has like 4 million left in the bank, and I don't even care.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I went in with my wild card for round of 16 being 1.2 in the bank. I was okay with that. I thought like having a little bit of money could make the difference later down the road. So I think now we can move on to the yellow card count suspension
Sure.
thing that we mentioned last episode. And I think kind of came clutch in the end because the players who we kind of kept an eye out for did, well, a few of them got benched, right? You look at Jordi Alba, Pau Torres, both of those guys were on one yellow card each, got benched. I mean, I don't think we were gonna punt on the likes of Sane or Gundogan, but they missed out as well. You look at Denmark, Voss benched for Striger, right? And man, Striger looks a hell of an asset moving forward. I mean, you look at the updated list now. I'm looking at the tab that I think you put in the latest information. Granit Xhaka might be missing the next game for Switzerland.
Yep, he's out, confirmed. He picked up that second yellow card last game, but that's a huge blow for Switzerland.
Yeah, I mean, he got the assist for Gavranovic's goal. I hope I'm not butchering that name.
How about try again?
yeah.
Try again. You've said it way better before.
Gavranovic, right? Yeah. So Xhaka is suspended. We don't know if the likes of Mason Mount are coming back as well. Same with Chilwell. You gotta keep an eye out for COVID news as it pops up, right? We'll try to retweet information as and when we get it as well, so it helps you guys out. But looking at the one card suspensions, are you a bit shy on any of the assets I'm going to list? Harry Maguire, Thomas Vermaelen, Yarmolenko, Alba, Thorgan Hazard, Damsgaard, Busquets even is at risk. Soufal, Alderweireld, Pessina, Embolo, Giovanni Di Lorenzo, the fullback for Italy. Dovbik, the guy who scored for Ukraine his first international goal. Pau Torres is still on that one yellow. Daniel Vass from Denmark. They've got like their midfielder for Denmark. Delaney also has one yellow card count. Calvin Phillips picked up one yellow card as well in that last game. Who else? Declan Rice also has one yellow card. But I mean, I don't know if you'd pick up Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice as fantasy assets, right? Phil Foden has one card, but he got benched that last game. So out of the names that I kind of listed, are there any ones that you're kind of disappointed has that one card?
Yeah, for me, it's Harry Maguire. I want him. His goal threat was very present last game, and I think he's nailed to play the rest of the games. But that one yellow card is putting me off, and John Stones doesn't have a yellow card, so I may just swing with Stones instead. That's a weird saying. But yeah, Luke Shaw and John Stones get the nod again ahead of Harry Maguire for me. Really just because of that card. Who else? Thorgan Hazard would have been an okay midfield pick from Belgium if I fancied one of them, but with the yellow card I'll probably avoid. And I already had Damsgaard in my side. I'll probably maintain and keep him, but that one yellow card is kind of putting me off as well.
Well, I mean, it could change, right? Depending on how our discussion moves forward. Uh, there's one thing I wanted to check, the venues. Did the venues kind of change in the middle of the tournament? I know they moved from Bilbao to Sevilla because of COVID-19 issues, but that game that England had, I thought it was going to be played in Dublin. It got played in London, actually. So I'm not sure if maybe the stadiums have changed and we should keep an eye on that because Sterling loves to score in London, mate.
Yeah, true. And I mean, he's on for the Golden Boot, right? Crazy.
Yeah.
I actually haven't been following venues that much. I've left you in charge of that, so I have no clue. I have no clue if changes have been coming in or
You
not.
should not leave me in charge of anything. I am terrible.
Let's see.
It could change last minute. I don't know if they will. But Ryan, what are you seeing right now?
So I'm seeing St. Petersburg, so Russia for Switzerland, Spain. I'm seeing where's Fußball Arena? Oh, that's Munich, right? So
yeah.
Russia for Switzerland, Spain. Munich for Belgium, Italy. And let's
Baku for Czech Republic, Denmark.
Okay.
And I believe Rome for Ukraine, England.
Yep, that sounds right.
Do you think any of these teams have players from those countries that you might be like, maybe they like playing there? Because apparently, Dolberg, his brace, he scored in a stadium that he's used to playing in. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I saw something like that. I didn't actually realize he was that familiar with it, but...
So if you look at the first game, like, I don't know if you know if anyone that plays in Russia, like Switzerland, Spain, to kind of make that connection. What about Belgium, Italy? Are there any of those international players that play in Germany by any chance? Any that come to mind right away?
On that Belgium squad, it must be.
I can't think of anyone right off the bat. Maybe Axel Witsel, but you won't consider him like a goal scorer or anything, right? I'm thinking of like the goal scoring machines.
True.
Or the assisting machines.
No.
The same thing for like Czech Republic, Denmark. Like, I don't know anybody in Baku. Ukraine, England, Rome? Any of the English people play in Italy? No. Like, nope. So I thought maybe we could have made a weird connection there. I guess not. Yeah.
Trippier.
You know? Wait, Trippier? Who did he play for? Did he play for Atletico Madrid?
Yeah, let's just cut that out.
Definitely not. All right. So, I mean, let's look at the plan moving forward, right? You've got a wild card. I've got, like, exact transfers to make. So, I don't know how you want to do it. Do you want to maybe let's discuss each fixture, look at, like, kind of ownerships and just run through those and then look at our plan finally? Because then that way we kind of have an idea of what the assets are moving forward.
I think we could talk about the assets before even outlining our plans because
okay,
I think the good assets are the good assets and that's who we should target regardless of whether or not you have them now, whether or not you can get them, they remain the best assets of the round, right?
So what about ownership? Like, how much are you taking into consideration that right now? Because given how the game has updated, it kind of removes players from the pool, etc., right? So I don't know if this is sheer dumb luck, but I've naturally ended up with the top four most owned players in the game already,
nice.
who are Lukaku, Donnarumma, Spinazzola, and Immobile in that order.
So ownership brings me to my biggest regret of the last round. Every time we looked at our round of 16 drafts and we looked at how many players from the different teams, like, yeah, we obviously had to back Netherlands, we obviously had to back France. I mean, football, you can't really predict it, but on paper those teams should have won, right? So it made more sense. But I think we've had enough experience with international tournaments to know that we shouldn't have put all our eggs in those baskets. And it's kind of come back to bite a lot of managers who didn't have a wild card to fall back on in their ass. But me, I had the wild card, and I really do regret following the template so much. Like, I was more afraid of what the template could do to me and damage my rank because I was looking at those ownerships. So like Dumfries was in everybody's squad, when Depay was in everyone's squad, a French attacker was in everyone's squad, and I kind of just removed my own picks from the equation because I was just going template. But now on a wild card where everybody else has to take hits and everybody else already has a backbone of players they have to stick with,
Yeah.
I can be very different. And now I'm trying to avoid looking at ownership as much as possible because I just really want to pick players that I think will do really well. I'm going to avoid Donnarumma. I'm going to avoid... Well, obviously I have to keep Spin. Spin has been amazing, but...
Yeah.
Who else you said? Lukaku, I probably will avoid. And I think you mentioned the fourth person. I forget who was the fourth. Immobile. Right. I will probably avoid as well. So, like, up top, I'll probably go Harry Kane, Morata, and Dolberg or Schick or...
I think Dolberg is a good shout.
Yeah, Dolberg or Schick. So...
Yeah, I think that's a great shout, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with the ownership. You don't look at it, look at ITAS, trust your gut sort of thing. But if I was to pick out one of the players from that list that could be due... Immobile, man, what a wonder strike in that last game.
The last game he scored in?
No, the last game that he played in Austria when he clipped the top corner of the post.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was ridiculous.
Right? Yeah, so, like, Immobile, and going into that game, he had, 10 shots in 2 games?
Yeah, 5 in each.
So I'm quite happy to own him. The only person I guess I'm kind of low on is Lukaku, given the Hazard and KDB injuries. I don't know if his company is going to be able to, no pun intended by saying company, but his company is going to be able to assist him.
So I think you alluded to the fact that Bonucci and Chiellini will be the pairing. They no longer have speed on their side, but I mean, Lukaku isn't the fastest, but I could see, some Italy player getting caught out and an Italian having to make a last-ditch tackle. Maybe that gives a pen to Lukaku, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because Bonucci did struggle with the runs of Arnautovic versus Australia.
Yep.
So it could be something to look out for. I think, all right, let's maybe look at the fixtures one by one, because I kind of want to go through their assets, and maybe there's a few special players that we can give a shout out to. So let's start with our first game, the game that we get lineups for, Spain versus Switzerland. I'm really more focused on the Spain lineup because I'm more focused on assets that I think are going to progress, right?
Yep.
So do you want to look at the Switzerland assets at all, or maybe shout out maybe at least one or two players?
The only one that really kind of jumps out in my mind is Seferovic.
3% owned.
He has that aerial threat, and he's on form, undeniably on form.
Yeah.
3 goals in the last 2 games, right?
Yeah. I believe Shaqiri might be the popular pick if someone was going to go Switzerland, 11% owned. My punt would be Zuber. 4 assists in the tournament so far, only 2% owned. If you had to take a punt against a Spain side that looks leaky still, even though, they have so much of the ball, yeah, I think Zuber is definitely worth a shout for you.
Yeah, so his crosses are looking amazing. And I just think Seferovic will be the one to pot them if they get those chances. So
Agreed. All right, so then let's look at the Spain team in a bit more focus. So it surprises me at the ownership breakdown of the Spain squad. I'm gonna go from obviously most owned further down. Laporte is the most owned player,
Really?
23%. Pau Torres, 21%. Jordi Alba, 18%. Sarabia, 15%. Ferran Torres, 14%. And this is what shocks me. In sixth position, Alvaro Morata, 10% owned.
where's Unai Simon?
So Unai Simon is, I want to say, around the ninth position, only 6% owned.
Wow, okay.
I won't go through the entire list, but other players that I think are possibly worth a shout, Aspi, 5% owned. Koke, 2% owned. I know Koke hasn't gotten any sort of attacking returns really so far, but that last game, he made a lot of runs into the box and it always looked like the ball could have fallen to him. He even had a chance on goal when Pedri put him through. He takes corners for Spain. I think honestly that's worth a punt.
I don't think Koke has ever scored for Spain. So, but no, he has looked a threat. So
Yeah, and he's nailed for sure, I think.
yeah.
The other thing I would suggest is wait on lineups, don't make your moves, and if Danny Olmo starts, only 1% owned, I think you can also punt on him. Really, it's gonna come down to those starting lineups, and I love this feature, and I wish FPL would adopt this feature into their game.
Yeah, I
moving
can't
forward.
believe they pulled forward the deadline a half an hour just to avoid us from having any insider information of the lineups. That's just crazy. I think
Yeah.
you should always get
Just
them.
feels backwards
Yeah.
at this point. Yeah, so out of those players, Ryan, I think on wildcard you have a very good, like a very massive advantage. Considering Spain has been the top team for XG as well, I would love to be punting on attacking assets for Spain right now. And I think your limit is what, 5 players right now in this round
Yep.
per national squad, right? So I think out of the ones that we listed, go get them. You know who your set piece takers are, etc. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. I think Belgium versus Italy we can discuss next.
Sure. I don't think. I mean, a lot of players already own at least 3 Italians. I think that's sufficient. Berardi is a doubt to start. Chiesa may start, but I don't think it's worth getting a fourth Italian given the question marks on who's even going to win this game. From Belgium, I also don't think it makes sense to go with more than 1 or 2, just because they may crash out the tournament now. But yeah, feel free to run through the heavily owned ones and who we think are good picks.
Yeah, so first up, Donnarumma, 46% owned. Spinazzola, 36% owned. Immobile, 34% owned. And then after that, you've got Insigne, Locatelli, Bonucci, and Berardi in that order, going from 22% to 14%. Now, before I continue into the single digits, because that's what it kind of jumps into, as a Berardi owner that doesn't have a wild card, what would your advice be?
I would say hold. You probably have a lot of gaps in and a lot of duds in your team that you need to fill. Just keep Berardi. Hope he comes on in the second half. That game could easily go into extra time, and Berardi could easily get like 45 minutes of playing time if he comes on in the 75th minute. And that's enough. We saw it with Chiesa, right? That's enough time to score, assist, do anything, really.
Yeah, 100%. So, following Berardi's 14% ownership, we dropped down to Chiesa, 7% owned. I think that's a great punt for you on wildcard.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I picked him up in my other draft. I couldn't get him on ours. I'm staying away from the fixture so much that I probably wouldn't go Chiesa. Right now, I only have 1 Italian and 1 Belgian.
Yeah, that's fair, honestly. That's
And obviously you
a
can
sensible way to go about
exactly.
it.
And if I kind of wanted to hedge ownership, I'll probably throw Donnarumma in goal too. But I mean, you could guess the Italian I have in my team. It's arguably their best players for the tournament.
Is that Jorginho?
Let's be real, mate.
Who has been their best player of the
Spain
tournament?
has looked amazing every single game.
Yeah, that's true. Spin is also due a goal, I'm not gonna lie. How much would you look into the ownership of Jorginho 5% owned?
I do think a pen can come in that game and decide the match, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'll prefer to get an actual attacking asset than a mix where you don't know what to expect from Jorginho.
And you wouldn't risk it on 1% Pacina or 0% Bernadeschi, eh?
If I had the lineups, sure, but no, without them, I'll stick to those who we know will start.
Alright. Well, if we're looking at Belgium, Romelu Lukaku, 57% owned. I believe he's number one in the game.
Wow.
You drop down to Thomas Munier at 28% owned. And I think that's because of Munier's contribution from an attacking sense.
Yep.
You drop down further, Courtois 23% owned, KDB 22%. That's massive for a guy who's going to be missing the fixture, or most likely missing the fixture, right?
Right.
Thorgan Hazard 9% owned, Denier 8%, Tielemans 6%.
Yeah, I think
So-
we can stop there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're confident on Belgium getting a clean sheet, then Alderweireld and Vertonghen at 4% and 2% respectively are worth punts. But I think where you should be punting is Mertens 2%, Carrasco 2%, and maybe, just maybe, Jeremy Doku at 0% owned.
Whew. Where's Vermaelen?
Vermaelen is currently at 1% ownership.
So, I mean, he already has an assist to his tournament. I think he looked really good versus Portugal. He kept Ronaldo kind of quiet the entire game.
But at the same time, Portugal created a lot of chances, had a lot of shooting opportunities.
Oh, for sure. I think, no, I was going to say, if you go for any defending option, it still is Munier because he adds that attacking threat. So, yeah, it's very hard to stay away from the popular picks in the Belgium squad.
Again, if you're on wildcard, it's easier to punt on these teams. If you don't have wildcard, maybe stick to Ryan's suggestion, which is maybe just avoid that fixture. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Let's go Denmark versus check yourself before De Boer wrecks himself.
Yeah. That's, I mean, that one wasn't as bad as mine, but lame joke number 2.
Yeah, so Frank de Boer fucked himself, finally, as expected, as all fans were kind of crying out for, in a sense. I'm really glad that I punted on Striker because we got lineups. Really disappointed that I didn't punt on Dolberg. I think it's because his price was so cheap and I had so much money in the bank. I'm like, I feel like I'm wasting out on going Mbappe or Lukaku or somebody like that, right? Just saying, like, I know there's not a lot of stats on Striker Larson out there, but he has a wicked delivery on him, a wicked cross on him. He takes amazing corners. They've got great aerial set piece threats like Vestergaard, who could potentially score. Listen, Larson is 0% owned, okay? I got a clean sheet out of him, 4.5. I was so happy, and I don't think his price even went up. So
No, yeah, it didn't change. I think, I mean, this is never going to happen, but I think Vas comes back into the squad. And if he does, I would love to see Larson played as a winger, yo. That man's cross was insane.
Yeah,
Like,
it really was. I mean, at one point, he even crossed it to Miley in the box, and Miley nearly scored from it.
yeah, yo.
Yeah, I mean, okay, looking at the Czech Republic assets before we talk about Denmark, Patrick Schick, 18% owned, and Holish, 4.5 mid, 7% owned, got the goal and assist versus the Netherlands, including that 1 point for the clean sheet, right?
Yep.
Are you considering any of these assets or, Sufal 5% or Suchek 4% owned?
I was considering Holish, but now that all the big teams are out, I don't think I need that budget pick in my midfield to really free up cash. I think I can just go with more differentials. I don't think Holish is going to repeat that task. I mean, who knows? He could, but I'm probably gonna avoid Czech Republic altogether. If I am picking up one, it'll be Schick.
Okay. Let's look at Denmark then. Guess the highest owned player.
Maela.
Of course, 19% owned. Schmeichel at 15, Kier at 15,
Oh wow.
Højbjerg
Okay.
at 10%,
Interesting.
and then dropping down, a guy named Boyleson has a 6% ownership.
Because he's
He's
4
barely
million
played.
mid. I mean 4 million
Yeah,
defender.
4 million defender. Yeah, exactly. That's why people picked him. But I mean, other players, Christensen and Damsgaard, 6% each. We don't know if Poulsen's gonna come back into the squad at 3% own. But you know, his replacements, Dahlberg and Braithwaite, at 2% each could come in for you. But you know what? I'm gonna throw special punty players for you, Ryan. Vestergaard, 1% owned. Striker Larson, we just highlighted him, 0% owned. I think these are the names that you need to throw into your squad.
If I were grabbing a player, it might be Vestergaard because I think there is going to be a goal from a set piece in that game. Yeah, it could be Christensen, it could be Vestergaard, who knows, but
Yeah, I think that's worth a punt. And you know what? It kind of brings me to the reason why I kind of want John Stones and Harry Maguire as two of my three transfers moving forward. But that might change. Because we're going to talk about England versus Ukraine now. The Ukraine assets, I'll quickly run through their ownership. Topping them is Yarmolenko and Sudakov, 9% each. Why Sudakov? Who Sudakov? A 4 million midfielder. So basically an enabler, right?
gotcha.
It seems that a lot of teams have kind of picked up enablers at this point. That's kind of an interesting thing that we kind of just noticed. Zinchenko, third highest Ukraine player, 6% owned. Then below that, Yaremchuk 4%, and everyone else is 1% and below. Do you think Ukraine can possibly upset England?
I can't see it at all.
Okay, so then let's move on to England as the option. For England, obviously their numbers are going to be high. Sterling, Kane, and Stones, 28, 27, and 24% respectively.
Right?
Jordan Pickford, 19%. Luke Shaw, 17%. Kyle Walker, 12%. Maybe you want some of these, right? But then you got nice punty options like Jack Grealish, 9% owned. I don't think he's going to start though. He looks better as a super sub. Harry Maguire, I was really surprised to see at a 4% ownership.
Wow, that's low. Jeez.
Yeah. Trippier, 3%, but again, can you really trust that rotation? And then, other than that, I don't know if you want to maybe look at Saka, 0%. He could potentially get a start because of his work ethic in both of the games gone by. But, I mean, are you really going to punt on an attacking return other than it coming from Raheem Sterling?
I mean, Kane and Sterling, yeah. So those are the two who will go into my squad for sure. Kane and Sterling, and probably two defenders. Well, two defensive options. Pickford probably is one of them. I am still undecided on which defender I want. Actually, I'm thinking John Stones and Luke Shaw if I don't go Pickford, because they both offer something more. John Stones has the aerial threat, and I mean Shaw's assist threat when Grealish came on the pitch was just boosted incredibly. I think he got the hockey assist for the Grealish assist too, right?
Yep, that's right.
So yeah, I'm more keen on Shaw than anyone else. And again, price doesn't matter to me at this point, and Shaw is only 6.1 mil anyhow. Easily fits in.
Okay. So why don't you break down what's your latest draft looking like for wildcard before I get to my team?
Sure. So right now, and it's not set in stone, but I have Kane, Morata, and Schick up top. I have Sarabia, Sterling, Fernando Torres, Damsgaard, and Holesh in mid, but Holesh is coming out because I still have 4 million in my bank. In defense, I have Spinazzola, Shaw, Maela, Munier, and John Stones. And in goal, I have Schmeichel and Pickford, but I don't need 5 English, so I probably will drop one of those defensive options. That may mean Pickford dropping out for Unai Simon. I actually need to check and see what days they play. Yep, that's two. So that's Schmeichel on day 2 and Simone on day 1. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, so you've got a captain option for your Friday, who is
Probably Sarabia or Morata. I mean, it depends on the lineup.
yeah.
If I see that Ferran Torres is starting, maybe Ferran Torres. If I see Olmo is starting, I might throw Olmo in my squad instead of Holish. But I'm definitely waiting on a lineup before I make any decision in terms of captain, in terms of which Spanish options I stick with.
Yeah. So, I mean, for that day, I've already got 4 Italian assets, right? Immobile, Berardi, Spinazzola, and Donnarumma. I don't
Yep.
think I'm going to get an additional one. And I've already got one Belgian asset, Lukaku. So I'm covered for that fixture.
Yep.
For the Spain-Switzerland game, however, I've only got Pablo Sarabia. So depending on how they line up, I'm thinking to get either one forward or one midfielder or both, right? Just because of how attacking Spain have been altogether. I just think it's easier to back on them for an attacking return,
Yeah, agreed.
right? So let's look at the Saturday now. Who's your captain option for that day?
So it's hard. I am thinking either Sterling, Kane, or even Maela. Yo,
Yeah, honestly, I think the majority captain pick is going to be an English player.
same.
So I think if you miss out on that first day, punt on that Danish player for that attacking return, clean sheet return. I think it's better to maybe go on a defensive punt for Denmark, just given their defensive XGC numbers, sorry.
Yeah, I agree. And it just seems like the longer the game goes on, the player Maela's up against gets more and more tired, and he just keeps bombing forward, bombing forward. I mean, his two goals, sorry, came late on in his games,
Yeah.
and he's always a threat, yo.
Yeah.
Like,
Always, definitely. Mile is definitely worth a shout for captaincy still. For this day, I've only got, I think, 2 players, the 2 Danish players, Striker and Maele. So I don't think I'm going to bring in a Czech asset. I don't think I'm going to bring in a Ukraine asset because I look at my squad right now. I've got 4 dud players on my bench, including a keeper. So I can either remove 2 defenders, 2 to 3 midfielders, and 1 forward. So the only team that I'm looking at really is getting some English assets because I have 0 English players.
yep.
I think I've got enough Danish assets. I don't know if I'd go higher because that could easily be an upset. We don't know,
Right.
right? So I think maybe maybe 2 of my 3 transfers would be English and 1 would be Spanish, depending again on that Spanish lineup.
Right, okay. Which English asset are you looking at?
So now that's where we come to. So I agree that, look, Harry Kane finally got his first goal of the tournament. Definitely worth the punt. Sterling can't seem to stop scoring, but I mean, he's only scored when they've kind of played in London, I want to say, other than that Scotland game. I feel like I should maybe take a piece of advice from my draft team, which likes to give my budget team competition and go double defense on England, which I think people will be more inclined to get attacking assets given the fact that, they've gotten past that big hurdle of Germany. Ukraine will probably concede chances. And I think for sure England's going to score. I just think it's going to be harder to predict who's going to score for England. I don't think it's going to be that straightforward it's going to be Sterling and Kane.
Yeah, fair. So this is where I'm not in your shoes. I have my wildcard, but I try to put myself in other managers' shoes. And
Yeah.
typically when you look at it, like you said, most have at least 1 striker out, at least 2 midfielders out, at least 2 defenders out, right? So they need to plug in 3 from those gaps, and where do they go? For me personally, I may have probably just gone 1 defender and target 2 outfield attackers,
Mm-hmm.
just because we were banking so heavily on attacking assets from fairly solid teams at the back. So like the Pavards, the Muniers, the Pavards, the Dumfries, the who else is there? Jordi Albas or Laporte's, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's look through their scores from the round of 16. So Jordi Alba didn't start, came on, and then conceded 2 goals, 0. Dumfries got a yellow card, conceded 2 goals, 0. Pavard conceded 2 goals, got a yellow card, and something else. No, I think he ended on -1.
Probably, yeah.
Was there a pen in that game? Did Severovic score a pen? Oh,
no,
he gave
no,
up.
no.
No,
Remember,
Pavard
Rodriguez
did.
missed a pen.
Yeah, Rodriguez missed the pen.
Pavard
so that's
tackled Zuber
Yeah.
and gave
So
away the pen.
Pavard
Yeah.
gave away the pen, so he ended on -1, right? So like, these are guys you thought will at least bring you 6 points with a clean sheet, maybe, and there's potential for attacking returns, and none of them delivered. So I'm kind of turned off of the defenders now, at least because teams are just bombing forward and trying to get themselves in the game, right? Like, Switzerland showed up to ball, Austria showed up to play ball, and Croatia did as well. So I find the clean sheets harder to come by. I do agree that England is a bit more clean and easier to predict a clean sheet there, but I would still favor an attacking asset over just going, 2 English defenders or 1 English defender, 1 Spanish defender.
Would you recommend that I take a hit?
That's another thing I thought about. If you can't feel the full team, yes, take the hit. If you can feel the full team, there is still benefit in taking a hit to get 1 bench option. You get to take out that like player who scores 1 point in the first game, and inevitably you probably will have one of them, like a Brady who comes off the bench, does nothing, 1 point. Is it worth it? I don't know. I don't
Depends
think so.
on your situation.
I guess it depends on your situation, yes.
Yeah.
But to me, it's so hard to call. If the Spanish lineup looks really attacking, I would only ever take a hit for a player that I know is starting. So it would only be for an extra Spanish player or a player from that first game. I wouldn't take a hit for a player that I don't know.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, that's the only reason I take a hit. It depends on that Spanish lineup. There is one question though. So I've got 1 striker spot only. Are you gonna give that to Morata or Harry Kane?
Ooh. I think, again, depending on the lineup, but probably Morata.
Yeah, just because of how the team plays, I think.
How the team plays, and I think England, if they get 1 goal early on, that's it. They park the bus and they set up shop. That's enough for them.
Yeah.
Spain, no. 1 goal is not enough for them. They have to keep going because they will leak 1. I mean,
so that's why if I'm giving that 1 spot to Morata, the other spots that I can only give up are midfielders or defensive spots, right? And if you're looking at midfield options for England, the only one that I'd consider is Sterling. Like I said before, I don't think I would consider Spanish defense. So that's why I'm thinking maybe Morata up top, one of like Sterling, maybe Olmo if he starts, Varane if he starts, right? But then the 2 defensive assets, I'm thinking to go maybe both Stones and Maguire, because I agree, centre-backs can score goals, and I think England will potentially score a goal like that. So I think I'm just going to get both of them and cover my ass for either one of them scoring from a set piece.
That's fair. Maguire does have a yellow card, and I think that should put you off enough that you should be considering Shaw. But yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, Shaw and Stones is also a good combination to go after. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing to mention as well, the popular goalkeeper picks from last round, Donnarumma, Stecklenburg, who else was there?
Courtois, maybe?
No,
but
he kept the clean sheet. Yeah, so it's really Donnarumma, Stecklenburg, and...
Oh, Simon,
right, there you go.
Yeah.
They all picked up, 2 points?
Yeah.
And
okay.
To me, it's not worth it to hit to remove to get a second goalkeeper. Like, if you have a playing goalkeeper, stick with that guy, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay, good. I think we're good there. I think we can wrap things up. So if you want a bit more information or you have any questions, if you kind of end up listening to this, you probably, I don't know, won't. We're going to be on Twitter Spaces Thursday night. So we're gonna again do a recap and prep for our transfer slash wildcard. We invite you to come check us out. We're gonna tweet everything out. Yeah, come hit us up if you have any questions, need advice, etc. And hopefully you can, be part of the journey while I screw up this best rank of 2014. Ryan, do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, I just hope the tournament remains as entertaining as it has been, yo. And
Agreed.
I'm looking forward to Friday.
You think we'll get any more upsets?
Yes.
Oh, great. On that note, we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.